All right, so moving on to the final segment, we're going to pivot over here to the world of MMA inside the UFC world, and I'll be sharing my updated men's pound for pound list. So this is my own particular list. We'll start at number 1, going all the way down to number 10 in that particular order. So number 1, I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. I do believe that Islam Makhachev should be at the top of everyone's UFC pound for pound list. He's a 2-division world champion, currently the welterweight champion as we speak today. And he's got one hell of a resume, guys. He has 2 victories against Alexander Volkanovski, knocked him out the last time they fought, wrestled away the welterweight championship against JDM, a great grappling and wrestling performance to become the welterweight champion today. Submitted Charles Oliveira and submitted Dustin Poirier. I think Islam Makhachev deserves to be in the number 1 pound for pound spot. But there's a guy right on his heels, and his name is Ilia Topuria, another 2-division world champion and currently the lightweight champion. But his last 3 fights have been great performances all in a row, knocking out legends and icons that the UFC has seen over the last 5 to 10 years. Knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, knocked out Max Holloway. That right there, we're talking about some of the best featherweight fighters of all time he knocked out. And then knocked out one of the greatest lightweight fighters of all time and Charles Oliveira in the first round in his latest performance. So I do believe Ilia Topuria should be ranked number 2, and he's quickly became one of the next big superstars that the UFC will have to offer. And talking about a superstar, number 3 here, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira deserves to be back in the top 3 pound for pound conversation. Another 2-division world champion, currently the light heavyweight champion that in the UFC today, and he has went on a dominant run, a dominant reign of terror over the last few years with marquee knockout victories against Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Jamal Hill, Magomed Ankalaev, Yair Prochazka, and several others. Like Alex Pereira is going on a legendary run right now. I do believe he deserves to be back in top 3 pound for pound conversations. Number 4, I'm going to go with Khamzat Chimaev, an undefeated wrecking ball, 15-0 in his MMA career, just won the middleweight championship this previous summer against DDP, a dominant wrestling / grappling performance to become the middleweight champion of the sport today. Number 5, we're going to go with the unpopular champion right now. I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion. We'll get to him later. But I do believe he deserves to be a top 10 pound for pound fighter right now. Number 6, we'll go with the new champion, Peter Yan, the newest bantamweight champion, pulling off one of, if not the biggest upset of the year, taking the title away from Merab by decision to become the new king of the bantamweight division. Number 7, I go with Merab, the greatest bantamweight fighter of all time, in my opinion. 8, I'll go with the great Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champion. 9, I'll go with Alexandre Pantoja. And 10, I'll go with the number 1 ranked lightweight fighter in the world, and Arman Tsarukyan. So that's my updated men's pound for pound list. But let's go into a deeper dive of why I have these guys ranked 1 through 10. So again, Islam Makhachev at 1. I think that's the correct spot to put him at. Again, a 2-division world champion, the welterweight champion of the world, and defeated JDM in dominant fashion to win the title. Now, he's currently tied with Anderson Silva for the longest winning streak in UFC history with 16 straight wins. That is very impressive. And it's a long list of opponents waiting for him in 2026. I've told you guys that I think the welterweight division is the best division that the UFC has to offer today. And we're going to get a lot of answers, a lot of questions that will be answered in 2026 at this loaded welterweight division. So there's a long list of fighters waiting for Islam Makhachev. But I do believe he's the best pound for pound fighter today. Number 2, Ilia Topuria, an undefeated wrecking ball, 17-0 in his MMA career, now a 2-division world champion. And he knocked out, again, his last 3 wins, he's on one hell of a run. Knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, knocked out Max Holloway, and then moving up in weight to knock out Charles Oliveira. In the first round, I can't tell you guys how impressive this run is right now by Ilia Topuria. It's up there for one of the greatest runs in recent memory. But I got him at 2. 3, I'm going to put Alex Pereira, again, back in top 3 conversations. two division world champion, the light heavyweight champion, just won the title by knocking out Magomed Ankalaev, avenging his loss that he had early 2025. The back end got his get back and knocked down Magomed Ankalaev in the first round to become the light heavyweight champion once again in the sport. But again, like I told you guys, big wins. Again, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, Khalil Roundtree, Magomed Ankalaev. Man, like these knockout victories have helped them become a household name and one of the biggest names that the UFC has to offer today. Clearly one of the most popular combat athletes in combat sports today. I got him at 3. Again, 4, Khamzat Chimaev, a 15-0 in his MMA career, and just dominated DDP for 25 straight minutes to win the middleweight title. I think he had a control time of 20 to 22 minutes in that victory during the summer against DDP. That's insane. But again, this is another guy that's been on one hell of a run. His last 3 fights, he's not as active as we want him to be, only fighting once a year. But his last 3 victories against Kamaru Usman, even though he fought him on like a 14-12 day notice, that's still a marquee victory. And submitting Robert Whittaker in the first round in 2024, and then dominating DDP. Like, that's a dominant 3-fight run that Khamzat Chimaev's on. Hopefully we can see him back soon. But excuse me, we should definitely appreciate the greatness that he's doing right now. Excuse me. 5, Tom Aspinall, a heavyweight champion of the world, but not on the good side of MMA fans right now after that unpopular no contest performance against Cyril Gane during the fall with the accidental eye poke. But all jokes aside, you got to consider Tom Aspinall to be top 5 pound-for-pound material due to the fact that he's one of the most skillful heavyweights that we've seen in a very long time at this division with the striking, the grappling skills. So on his A game, he could prove why he could be one of the best. It's just very unfortunate that that's what happened in his previous performance. A fight that looked like he was in trouble very early on. So again, 6, with Peter Yan. Peter Yan, the new bantamweight champion, after defeating Merab by decision in December. And he started, Peter Yan has had one hell of a story. This is a fighter that has won 15 straight fights once upon a time ago. Won 15 straight fights. Then went 1-4 from 2021 to 2023, possibly being on the verge of being released by the UFC before getting things back on track of being a world champion. I think Peter Yan deserves his credit for that. 7, Merab. There's another fighter that still deserves to be here. He fought 4 times in 2025. Like, he defended that world title 4 damn times and went 3-1, but the fact that he did that, and the fighters that he defended the title against weren't no scrubs, guys. Like, he defended the title against Umar, Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen, and Peter Yan. Like, that's one hell of a run, even though he came up short against Peter Yan. But in my opinion, like I told you guys, I think he is the greatest bantamweight fighter of all time based on the resume he's got. Wins against Jose Aldo, Umar, Corey Sandhagen, Peter Yan, Sean O'Malley. Like, that is a unprecedented run that Merab has been on over the last couple of years, guys. Definitely deserves to be here still. 8, Alexander Volkanovski, still the featherweight champion of the world. Back-to-back victories against Diego Lopez. 9, Alexandre Pantoja. Now, he definitely deserves to still be here, even though he's not a world champion anymore. Like, this guy is the former flyweight champion and lost his title against Joshua Van in December. Before that, he was riding an 8-fight winning streak, but like 15 to 30 seconds in the fight, he suffered that elbow injury, and they viewed it as a technical knockout. I honestly would have ruled that as a no contest, because this goes back to my point about Tom Aspinall, unfortunately. Sorry, Tom, you're getting a lot of slander, but how was an accidental eye poke viewed as a no contest, but the gruesome elbow injury 15 to 30 seconds in, that's labeled as a technical knockout? And that's how he lost the flyweight title. So I think he'll be back at some point in 2026, and I think he could be in line to win the title once again. But damn, that's a crazy way to lose your title on an 8-fight winning streak too. Look very unbeatable. So I think he'll get his get back and possibly be world champion again. 10, Arman Tsarukyan definitely deserves to be here. The number one ranked lightweight fighter that the UFC has to offer today. Big wins against Charles Oliveira and Dan Hooker in his last two performances. Unfortunately, things have not been on the side for him. After that big win against Charles Oliveira, he was suspended by the UFC indefinitely for putting his hands on a fan during his entrance during his UFC 300 fight against Charles Oliveira. Then, in January of last year, he was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title and literally pulled out of the fight with under 48 hours to spare due to an injury. Didn't let anybody know until the last second. So that's why Dana White and the UFC executives are not giving Arman Tsarukyan any big fights right now. Lightweights, like basically he's on punishment. But you got to consider the striking, the grappling. He is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter in my opinion. Now the problem is he's got to get in the mix at some point because you got him number one. Like, what is there for him to do right now at lightweight? Like, Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria will fight each other next for the title. And then I'm looking at the BMF situation. For the BMF title in March, you'll see Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway fight for the title. So what is Arman Tsarukyan supposed to do right now? I would consider moving down to featherweight if he can't get no title opportunity. He can make the weight down there. But that's my updated men's pound for pound list for you guys today. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing out. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.